Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah Head, and I have written a blog, but I would like to read it to you because I just feel like it will come off more clear. Um, so here it goes. Not another COVID-19 opinion, but a plea from my heavy heart. As you may see, I'm not wearing any scrubs, nor am I wearing a science lab coat. Hopefully, my lack of official attire won't deter you from listening to what I have to say. The good news is, I have zero coronavirus facts and/or data to share with you. What I do want to share with you all is my heart. Like most of you, or I would venture to say all of you, me and my family are over the season. I've been through some heavy-hearted seasons in my life. I'm not going to elaborate on those heartaches of mine right now because that's not my message here. But this season has been hard. I'm human, so I know some of my flesh is going to come out here. Please forgive me. Please give me grace. I'm hurting. My husband is hurting. And we are feeling more alone than we've ever felt in our whole lives. We miss our family. We miss our church family. We miss our friends. We miss our entire community. The saddest part about this season for us is we don't feel emotionally safe with the majority of the people I just listed. That's not easy to say. We do not wish to hurt anyone by making that statement. But please take the time to hear why we feel this way. Human nature tells us we need to know. We need to have answers. We desire for our loved ones to have answers. We know, for the most part, our community has the best of intentions. My hope is to give you a perspective that I feel a lot of us may have out here in the social media world. Still, our voices are being overwhelmingly drowned out by the sheer amount of information flooding our electronic devices. I understand your beliefs and your passion concerning COVID-19. This virus has changed all of our daily lives. For some, it has changed your lives forever. It is hard. It is not fair. It's scary on both sides of the belief spectrum. Some people are fearing their lives or the lives of their loved ones. Others are fearing that the US government has so much power that it's controlling the whole world, or at least attempting to. As we all know, much of the media is dishonest nowadays. It spreads fear to manipulate people to promote their agenda. I wish I had some informed, expert, groundbreaking advice of where this virus came from, how it got here in the first place, and the best way to move forward from this horrible season of isolation. But I don't. Unfortunately, none of us really do. Yet, that's not stopping the majority of us from spreading this data factual truth of this infamous worldwide pandemic. I split this message into two parts. This is because both my husband and I, Michael, feel our hearts are breaking in two areas. The first one is this. To our Christ-following friends and family, Jesus came down from his heavenly throne and loved people right where they're at. He loved them in their sin of serving idols, in their anger, in their confusion, and in their fear. That is how hearts were changed. He led people with humility. That is how people were able to hear truth. Through his love, lives were transformed. Jesus not only showed us how to love by example, but he also wrote it down. He wrote it down in the Bible through his Holy Spirit, so we can always have that to refer to when needed. He did this because he loves us. Take a deep breath before I read these next couple of statements. I'm serious. I need to breathe. If you're not a fan of Trump, you are still called to love him. Envision walking up to him and washing his feet. This is the kind of love that Jesus has for him. That is the kind of love we are called to strive towards. If you're not a fan of Nancy Pelosi, you are still called to love her. Envision walking up to her and washing her feet. That is the kind of love Jesus has for her. That is the kind of love we are called to strive towards. I know those two statements made most of you cringe. It did me too. But not once in the Bible does God tell us to hate our enemies. You know this, and I know this. The good news is, we don't have to love people who are hard to love by our own strength. We can ask God for this. He will give us the strength to love. He lives in our hearts. We will never love perfectly, but we are called to love, period. I beseech you, friends and family, if you genuinely care about the message you are spreading, then share it with love. Calling people who may not agree with you a, quote, lost sheep that is blindly following lies, or an idiot in a funny meme, does not invite them to hear what you have to say. I humbly ask you to ask yourself what your message is. That might sound strange because you know what your message is. But ask yourself this. If every person reads this, hears this, and they all finally understand and agree with this truth, then what? What do you want them to do with that truth? Even more than that, is this truth God's truth? Is this message what God is leading me to share? If so, awesome. You're walking in obedience. Then ask, am I doing it with love and humility? Love, meaning not being arrogant, demeaning, self-righteous, condescending, and even hateful. Humble, meaning being in a position of being able to recognize and acknowledge that you aren't an expert. You or the person or persons in the post you're sharing could be wrong. Ask yourself, am I 100% positive that every article and video clip that I'm sharing is the truth? It's one thing to share a thought, idea, or question. Hey friends, I read this article and it's making me ask some serious questions about this pandemic. What do you think? It's a whole nother thing to say, here's an article of an expert, and now you have to agree with me or you're stupid. I have seen so many people screaming to whoever will listen that the media is only spreading fear and lies to push their agenda. And I'm not claiming that isn't true at all. In fact, I agree. But those very same people attempt to prove this point by posting media filled with fear and lies from the opposing side. I feel like I'm starting to question my own sanity here. How are so many people in my surrounding world not seeing the irony in this? Our solution to fighting false fear tactics is with false fear tactics? Seriously, I'm not joking when I say I'm questioning my insanity these days. How does like 75% of my Facebook friends know all this factual information, and I'm just over here trying to feed my kids their millionth snack of the day? Is there a Facebook doctorate academy that I'm not aware of? I mean, I spend way too much time on social media. I'll admit it. If I'm missing out on investing that time into becoming an infectious disease expert or a political science specialist, then I'm ticked. I'm sorry. Sorry for spreading that bit of sarcasm. Again, I'm human, and I tend to attempt to push humor into stressful situations. It's never served me well, especially at funerals. Back to my heavy heart. It has been so overwhelming with the amount of information being poured out on the table in front of us. If we are honest with ourselves, we will acknowledge that we don't know what's going on behind the closed doors of our neighbor's house. So how do we jump to trusting life-altering information to someone we've never met, and then telling all the people around us that this is the truth of the situation? The fact is, the only one we can believe for 100% true, and this is for my Christian friends, is Jesus Christ. That's it. Not the President of the United States, not our family, not politically motivated media, and yes, not a doctor, not a scientist, or an expert. Jesus. That's it. Jesus. The second part of my message is to all people, regardless of your faith. Some of you are sharing information you've come across with the best of intentions. You're sharing information in hopes of easing people's anxiety and fear. You're not name calling. You're not claiming a particular political party is from the devil. You're not casting stones at the high-profile people you disagree with. Thank you. I do want to address this approach as well, though. Even with the best of intentions, if someone posts information of an expert, she is feeding anxiety to some group of people. There are a million viewpoints and or opinions of COVID-19. How, who, why is it here? How do we get rid of it? What is the best way to move forward for everyone? No matter how convincing the expert sounds to us, we do not know their heart or motivation. Sometimes it takes as little as a few Googles to find the background of the expert who's promoting a certain belief. Other times, it's very hard to research and fact check. It sometimes takes the same level of skills or expertise as the expert themselves to dig deeper. These people know this about us ordinary folk. They are not dumb. It's the year 2020. Just because we see something on the internet doesn't mean it's true. It doesn't mean it's not true, but it doesn't mean it is true. I know we shouldn't base things solely off our feelings, but I feel like we should all know this by now in the year 2020. It is irresponsible to spread theories and or opinions of others, or of information not thoroughly vetted and peer-reviewed, even with good intentions. When someone is faced with yet another article, YouTube video, or news report, that person is typically faced with three questions. 1, should I read and or watch this one? Especially if it's someone we trust, respect, and love posted it. 2, if I do, which side is this report arguing for? And 3, do I have the mental, physical, and emotional strength to fact check this one? I am in no way accusing people of posting inaccurate reports purposely. Well, not anyone I know personally, that is. As some of you may know, my husband's a senior data analyst. He is the first to say he does not have any expertise to help guide anybody in understanding all the different aspects of coronavirus, nor is he equipped to instruct us on the best way to move forward based off the little data we have. But he does know how to make some charts. He's pretty darn good at fact checking too. Personally, my husband and I, cannot explain how emotionally and painfully draining it is to have people we respect and love share information that then turns out to be misleading or inaccurate. We know this is not intentional. In all of our defenses, it would be unfair to expect everyone to know how to run numbers through a data software and see that the numbers have in fact been manipulated, or that the information is misleading by not including all the figures. However, if we post and or share information and throw the cloak of truth, fact, or even wisdom on it, it is causing anxiety and fear in people you care about. A very few of us are in the middle. Most of us by now are leaning towards one side of the belief spectrum. And because of that, the information you're sharing is going to affect at least one of those sides. I'm asking a lot of things here. I'm asking you to ask yourself a lot of stuff here. I'm not sorry about that. I wish we all weren't dealing with this stupid virus. I wish we all weren't scared. I wish people across the world didn't lose their lives to COVID-19 or any other disease or sickness. I wish the media would stop blowing everything out of proportion and causing even more anxiety and panic in people for their own agendas, and that is both sides. I wish women and children who are at high risk of abuse were not experiencing abuse at a much higher rate due to this season of being in our homes more. I wish we weren't kept from our loved ones in the hospital when they need our love and presence the most. I wish life celebrations and funerals weren't banned. We need that closure, and our loved ones deserve that respect. I wish we all had the answers, and I wish we had the capability of seeing through false information. I know I said I wasn't going to spew out any facts or data in the beginning, and I'm still not. But I do want to give one example of how Michael and I are having such a hard time seeing all these stances and opinions. Let's talk masks for a second. I know, I just threw up in my mouth a little bit too. It's common knowledge for all of us at this point, so I'm not proclaiming that this is an idea or a theory. The purpose of wearing a mask is not to protect myself, it's to protect the vulnerable people around me. For instance, take a surgical team. The whole medical team in the surgery room is required to wear a mask. They may be in surgery for a couple of hours or even 16 plus hours. They wear the mask the whole time. Now, they're not wearing the mask in order to protect themselves from catching something from the patient or from each other. They're wearing the mask to protect the vulnerable person laying on the surgical table in front of them. When we see our friends post memes of a defiant-looking person walking with their chest puffed out and a smug grin on their face, and the title is "Me Walking Without a Mask," we receive that message as "F you, vulnerable people." That might not be the intent behind the post, but based off the purpose of why we wear masks, that's how we receive your message. Now, I'm not claiming we all need to wear masks. At this point, I have no clue what the right thing is to do. Personally, I wear a mask in public places, but that's just because I can't control who I may encounter. Yesterday, I hung out with my neighbors outside in their backyard, mask-free. It was super fun being with real-life people that don't share my same genetics. It's my choice to do all of those things, but we don't get this arrogant attitude towards vulnerable people. It's gotten really hard to see coming out of our friends every single day. Here's the reason my husband and I don't feel emotionally safe with a lot of our people. We are weary. It is hard enough to navigate this season by itself. We don't need the added stress of doomsday theories from every viewpoint under the sun. Whether you're preaching this whole virus is a hoax, or you have to be a complete idiot to believe the media, yet that statement comes with an attached media to prove their point. Or you might be just saying, here's some wisdom to help you feel safer. And that wisdom is explaining how the government has it all wrong. All of this makes us feel shut off from you, and we just feel like we have to retreat. Michael and I haven't jumped on any bandwagons yet. There simply isn't enough data to support any of them. What I'm not asking is that everyone stop posting your opinions. This is a free country. You have the right to do that if you want to. I am asking with a sincere, very raw heart to one, please stop being cruel. People are watching you. If you're a Christ follower, then keep this in mind. If your post includes something hurtful towards a certain group of people, then you can forget about them ever hearing anything you have to say about the gracious, forgiving, kind Jesus you serve. And two, please start being responsible with the messages you're sharing. No matter how convincing something you come across sounds, no matter how much it speaks to your current beliefs that you hold, fact check it. Then fact check it again, and then again. If you can't find any solid evidence that proves it is 100% accurate, then don't post it. We love all of you, and we get it. All of us are dealing with this crisis the best way we know how. We just don't want to feel like we have to walk through this season alone anymore. We don't want to feel like every conversation we have with people, we have to agree or disagree with the theory or theories they believe. We are all scared about something. We want to hear you and your heart too. If you feel that there is a conspiracy going on behind America's back, or that this virus is going to wipe out the world's population if we all don't stay in our homes 24/7, we know those fears are real. And we know you found reasons for those fears. We want to walk with you in those fears and pray with you. We want to cry with you. We want to laugh with you. We want to live life with you. We just don't want to feel like we have to believe what you believe in order to do that. I think that's it. My heart has indeed been poured out and is now laying on the table with all the other million messages. Thank you for listening and/or reading this. Our prayer is that none of you feel any shame from any of my words. I'm sorry if I came off hurtful to you in any way. P.S. Please don't send me any hateful comments. Thanks.